This talk is going to be probably a little bit disheveled. Why? Because I am not done completely crystallizing it, and yet it is, in my humble opinion, ready to be shared with the people that have the question, how come some people make more money than others? They may even have the same vibration, and yet. The person I was looking at is Tai Lopez, who makes millions of dollars and makes it very publicly. So, I mean, at least some of it makes very publicly. He has a vibration of 170 and an accurate vocabulary is 700, which is not inconsistent with the 170, but it's a little bit inconsistent with millions. So when I look at the billionaire, they have a vocabulary in the 3,000–4,000 range, and a vibration sometimes higher, not always. So what is the difference? It's a great question, isn't it? The most important question that should be on your mind is not like you're watching television. No, the question is, that should be on your mind, is what it is that they have, or they see, or they know that I don't. That should be the question. So I don't know any billionaires personally, and I don't even know Tai that personally, but I have bought several of his courses, and for almost 3 years I listen to him every day, and I teach through his stuff. So I have a sense of Tai Lopez. So what is the reason I chose Tai Lopez program to teach from is that he teaches through principles. Now, does he have a full grasp of principles? Yes and no. So one of the things about principles, patterns, and distinctions in this conversation going to be interchangeable, even though they just largely overlap. Okay, so I'm going to use distinction, principle, and pattern somewhat interchangeably. So pay attention. They are different words, but they still kind of mean the same thing, at least in this regard. So all and every step of the 67 steps is principle-based. I also have another program, and there, ditto, every audio or every video is principle-based. So level 1 that allows for millions is recognizing principles and using. Your job is to see principles and then adjust your behavior to go on the right side of principles instead of going against them. That's not what you're doing. You can't see principles for the most part, and your behavior is counter with how they work, which means if you look at the principle, the overall principle is all happy families are alike, but every unhappy family is unhappy their own ways, what we call the Anna Karenina principle, the straight and narrow. Your behavior is counter with the principle, which would be the straight and narrow. Now, what prevents Tai from becoming a billionaire? So that's what I was spending the past hours with, and this is not the first time I'm thinking about that, but given that we are talking about patterns, that was the filter through which I looked. So what is his relationship to patterns that is not going to make him a billionaire? And I actually saw that there's another level to see patterns, and that is the pattern recognition of fractals, or understanding that what's true anywhere is true everywhere. Just like the unoccurring principle is true in the area of happy families, true in the area of your health, true in the area of how you handle yourself in society, etc. Everywhere. Okay? Even in religion, as you can tell, I am not a great fan of religion, but that's neither here nor there. So being able to see how how a principle plays out in one area and how principle plays out in another area, it's another level of being able to see when you deal with principles. And if I muscle test where Tai is in this regard, it is a scale, I would say. So he has more than 10%, less than 10%. So he sees 10% of it, which means in some areas he can see something. So for instance, yesterday I was listening to an episode where he says every rich person, without an exception, knows their numbers, or they have a good relationship with numbers. Therefore, you should strengthen your relationship with numbers. It is somewhat seeing that there's something about numbers that is good for you, but not quite seeing that if it's good in the area of money, it's also good in the area of your health. And if it's good in the area of health, then it's also good in the area of relationships. And if it's good in the area of relationships, it's good in the area of how you organize your time, etc. So in this regard, Tai is stuck on the level of millionaire. But pay attention. Are you on the level of millionaire? If you are listening to this, probably not. Okay? Probably not. Now, here's exception, an exception, which means this is not the whole story. So here's the exception. I am good and getting better at distinguishing patterns. Sorry, I'm coughing here. And I swallowed to the wrong pipe. Maybe I should go and get something to drink. All right, so, and I'm also learning and getting more facile in seeing the patterns in more areas than where I originally saw them in. And yet, I am not even in the five-figure income. I don't know. Five-figure means about $100,000, so I'm not there. Or what could that be? Six-figure? God knows. Okay, so whatever. I'm not in that range. Now, why? Because in some areas of life, I have been blind to, or blinded to, or blocked in seeing the pattern that I see everywhere. So, Sometimes in certain areas of life you don't see the pattern, and that will completely block you, even if you're brilliant overall. And that is the reason why there are so many brilliant people who are pauper, okay? Seeing them in every area is very difficult. There are certain areas that are hidden from our view, and you can't see it alone. So if you are the kind of person who doesn't work well with others, who rejects out of hand what anybody else suggests, or you are on the defensive, or you are argumentative, or whatever, you want to do your own way, or right? Or as in my case, I am forget thyself, so I'm smarter. I'm going to place myself ahead of you. It is not so easy to start seeing patterns. So almost all the hiding patterns I saw when someone in a position of authority, an authority that I accepted, like a teacher of mine, when they suggested some ugliness or some blockage, mostly ugliness, about me, I allowed myself to look and to actually see what they see. And then in those areas I could remove the blockage. On the other hand, in certain areas, either I didn't have a teacher, or it's a very difficult thing to recognize, like my money issue. And I didn't get a third opinion or second opinion or another view, or the person who said something, they weren't in the position for me to say, okay, I can, that I can actually go and look through their eyes, because I have learned that they have some valid opinions. So whether you are learning, whether you can see patterns or not, whether you can see patterns one way but not everywhere or not, or whether you have patterns that you can't see and they block you, your best bet is to get yourself a mentor, a coach, a teacher, someone who you respect enough to follow them to the rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole, okay? It's not going to be on the surface, because most people can't see patterns, and they can trip over patterns and they still won't see them, okay? It's not an accident that only 1% of humanity has all the money. It's not. Those 1%, whether they inherited it or made it, they can see patterns and you can't. Okay? So I am shamelessly selling myself. I am in the process of learning money, so eventually I'm going to be able to even mentor you in the area of money, even though that is never going to be my main focus, even though that's what you want most. Most people want money. But money is most things you can get in life without having to have lots of skills and lots of investment in yourself. Money is different. In the area of money, you really need to have a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and unique and diverse enough knowledge for you to see what is unique or rare and in demand, so that you can actually stand out in 8 million people. So I have one student who we have been working together, even though he pays me, and inching up. He inches up and I inch up and we both inch up. And what makes it work so well is that I managed to achieve a trust relationship with him. Without a trust relationship, I cannot take you anywhere. It's not possible. You need to walk, and then I can take you there. Okay? So in trust relationship, you walk, and then I can walk with you wherever you needed to go. So I recommend that you start with me, and where you should start with me is the 67 steps. Why the 67 steps? Because the 67 steps will train you to take your consciousness 360 degrees so that you can see more of the world. The second layer of the 67 steps is start looking for patterns or principles or sameness or distinctions. Because until you do, you are S-A-H-T, S-H-I-T, out of luck, okay? Without patterns, without distinctions, without principles, you are going to amount to nothing. So in the best case, you're going to stay the same, but chances are you're going to go down and down and down and down and down. Now, can it work wherever you are? I think that the most important thing that you can bring to this is your attitude. If your attitude is pushing someone away, or you're too smart, or you're smarter than, or you want to get and not give, it's probably not going to work, okay? You see, it's an attitude thing. So it's not a capability thing, or at least I don't think so. You can become the best you can be, no matter how big or small that all you can be is. Really. But if your attitude is that I'm smart and I'm not going to give you everything to help me, coach me, because F you, then nobody can help you, okay? All right, so that's what I wanted to say. I don't know if it made sense or not. If it did, I expect a lot of people wanting to coach with me, okay? The coaching program is relatively cheap. It's $15 a week, and it's one-on-one. It's personal. It's not a group coaching. You need to talk to me in writing. If you don't like writing, you can upgrade, but that's expensive because I can read whatever you write at my leisure, or leisure, I don't know how to pronounce that, and answer with as many words I want to answer with. But if we are talking, that's very time-consuming. So, yeah, that's it. Okay? Thank you. Bye.